Hey, all you perfectionists. Welcome to Perfect Edition Comics. I'm your host, Perfect. I can hear you out there, looking at your sad, depleted little wallet saying, I already own the OHCs of this run. Or maybe not, and I own the trade paperbacks of this run. And now there's this chunky, shiny new Omni coming out of Darth Vader by Charles Soule. What should I do? Should I buy it? Should I not? But it's shiny and it says Omnibus on the spine, so I gotta have it, right? No, my friend. The force may be weak with this one. Stick around and see exactly why. Let me begin with a comment which I think you know, but I probably should remind you about because I'm guilty of doing this as well. Don't trust YouTubers. Well, let me explain. And I guess also try not to be too ironic or hypocritical since I'm telling you not to trust YouTubers and I guess I qualify as one. So, okay, let's give it a shot. Especially comic YouTubers, that's what I want to focus on. Most of the time we can be pretty over the top and everything's positive and everything's a must buy. But then that would mean that everything is good and therefore nothing is bad, which is just not really the case. As if I'm really honest, probably 60 to sometimes 80% of stuff published these days is, how do I put this politely, less than stellar. In other words, kinda crappy. Let me maybe qualify that a bit before everyone rants in the comment section. I am talking mostly about the big two, if I'm quite frank with you. There's just a lot of dreck out there. I'm gonna say it, not everything should be upgraded and should be in your collection, really. When I started out really collecting like 20 years ago, I just bought everything that looked good, which quickly led me to having a flood of dreck in my collection. It's a common problem for most of us, because over the years you develop more of a taste and you realize you don't need or even want everything. And then you actually start to tailor make your collection. So in this video, I'm going to cut to the chase and try and be a bit more real and let you know that unless you're a super fan, you probably don't need to upgrade this title. Let's quickly talk about what this Omni covers. It is going to be 624 pages, at least that's what previews tells us. It's got a cover price of around $100 and it covers Darth Vader from 2017, which is Charles Soule's whole run. That's issues 1 through 25 as well as annual number 2. So yeah, it's not really a huge Omni to begin with. So consider that with the price and what I'm going to tell you about the art and the story, and then you can make your final call. I'm going to focus first on the art, so let's just break down who exactly we're talking about. The majority of the art is done by Giuseppe Camuncoli, with inks done by Daniela Orlandini, Cam Smith, and Terry Pallet. Sorry if I murdered your names, always apologies for that. The art, let me just say it straight, right? It's functional, but really just mid. Nothing amazing. Obviously way better than I can do, so don't get me wrong, it's still decent enough comic art, but to warrant an omnibus and paying all this extra money to upgrade, definitely not for me. Let's also do a bit of a comparison with something that was Omni-worthy, which was the first run of Darth Vader. So a lot of what I'm going to say will compare back to that run. So compared to the big names like John Cassidy, Salvador LaRocca on the initial Darth Vader run, we've got Camuncoli. Doesn't match up at all for me. So just going to say that straight up. If you're buying it for the art, you probably will be kind of disappointed. He's functional and sometimes borders on cartoony or anime flavored, which sometimes for me isn't a problem, but here it just doesn't necessarily fit. I don't know why, but it just doesn't. While still 100 times the artist I'll ever be, his stuff is still mid-tier at best. The oversized hardcovers also don't do anything for his art. In fact, if anything, they zoom in on its simplicity, and I think the line work is actually much better in the trade paperback format. The coloring, to me, also seems better in the second half of the run, and that's, I think, because it's better kind of zoomed in on that trade paperback format, if I'm honest. For once, I actually think kind of the trade actually is better than the OHC. Talking about the first Darth Vader run, let's move on to the story. This is the biggest one for me, as I found the initial Kieran Gillen run to be a big surprise and a phenomenal story. The biggest breakout in the first run was the new characters that were introduced that are now kind of just So solid and so cleverly done with such great backstory that they seem like they were always in the Star Wars universe. Of course, there's Doc Aphra, which is the most well-known, and she's just hit it big because her Omni came out. I wouldn't say just hit it big. In fact, she's been a great character for years now. It feels like just the other day, but it's been years, right? And of course, her favorite sidekicks, my favorites of that whole first Kieran Gillen run, being the killer droid tandem of 000 and BT. This run has no such luck, with mostly flat and, if I'm honest, boring new character additions to the Darth Vader mythos. It's also somewhat devoid of true character development for Darth Vader himself, which for me was pivotal to my enjoyment of that initial run. I found the inner thoughts, the monologues, the struggles with his views of Padme, his revelations around his past, as well as his potential future with Luke, that just drove Gillen's work to the next level and made Darth Vader such an interesting read. Here, in Soule's run, the only standout, both visually and story-wise, is his meditation view of himself and the world. We see him in his true form, which is pretty cool, but it has no actual bearing on the story if I'm really being honest. So to finish off, let me give you a bit of my blunt opinion, which you might like, you might not like, but I think it's worthwhile anyway. Your money is precious. And although it's always a touchy subject talking about it, I'm going to do so anyway. Of course, it's up to you what you spend your money on. There's no debate there, right? But here is the way I think about it and what I do when I consider even upgrading in the first place. If the art is mid and the story is mid and I already own it in some other kind of format, I just don't upgrade. It's really simple. In fact, if I think back, there's maybe only 1 or 2 books or series that I can think of that I would even like to upgrade. There's only one caveat or one rule I have. If I'm doing replacement shopping because of damage, etc., where like my copies are just destroyed and I can't read them anymore, or the dog ate them or whatever, right? I left them in the bath, which who baths with comics, you monsters. Anyway, then if it's one of those, and it's one of those 1 or 2 series which are my favorites, then yeah, if I'm buying a new version, I might well upgrade, but that's pretty much it. I know it's my style, it doesn't have to be your style. If you're an upgrader, go do your thing, be you, whatevs. But really, if you want my advice on this one, don't fall into the hype machine. Don't be a hype train victim on this one. To me, it's not worth it. Read it digitally and check it out and see if you really, really want it in Omni format, because for me, this one, it's a no-go. Thanks so much for watching. Please hit me up with a comment below. Tell me how right or how wrong I am, or how I shouldn't talk about your money because blah, blah, blah. Do your thing. And remember, stay perfect. See ya.